Good evening. Big updates this week, including the murderous matriarch of Miami goes to prison, plus the father of a 2-year-old left to die in the Arizona heat takes a plea deal. And how much money would you walk away from just to avoid looking like a fool? All happening this week in True Crime. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday Night Live from Courtroom Confidential, the fastest growing true crime news channel on YouTube. Thank you all so much for being here. Hello to Christy Royer and Nani Ann, Susan D, Nathaniel, Nate Hansen. There's Christy. She says, hi, CC friends. There's Nani Ann. Bead Love and Mama says, hi from New Britain. Good to see you. Little Miss Red Velvet. Look who's up. In my PJs and fluffy dressing gown. You paint a picture, Miss Red Velvet. Susan D, hi, everybody. Hello to all of you. If you are back for another time, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for being here. If this is your first time here, thank you for coming along. You've joined us on a very fun night. We have a great guest this evening. I'm excited to introduce him soon enough. But in the meantime, let me introduce myself if this is your first time joining us. My name is Joshua Ritter. I'm a former prosecutor with the LA District Attorney's Office. And then I left to go into private practice as a criminal defense attorney. And this is Courtroom Confidential, where we do our best to present to you both sides of the courtroom. And this is what we call Wednesday Night Live. It is your midweek check-in on all things true crime. So here is the schedule, the menu for this evening. First, our guest is Joel Waldman from Surviving the Survivor. We had a fake out last week, but we've got him back this week. We're going to be talking to him about all things Donna Adelson, and I'm going to make him stick around. I'm going to make him stick around for some more cases. I think I've convinced him that we're going to run a poll like we usually do on Wednesdays, but he's going to stick around and chat with us about the poll results anyway. So that's Joel. He'll be on soon enough. The poll includes the following 3 cases. So we're going to put those up, vote for which one you would like to hear first. Maybe we'll get to all of them. Maybe we'll get to only one of them, but I promise you at least one of them. First, the Louvre burglary. This is a story that if we were all living in France, it's something we'd be talking about all the time. And in case you haven't heard about this, a huge jewelry heist at the Louvre Museum in Paris. I'm blown away by this, and we'll get into a little bit of the circumstances of that and where the investigation stands now. Secondly, Christopher Scholtes. This is a remarkable development in this case. He pled guilty just hours ago to second-degree murder and other charges in the death of his 2-year-old daughter for leaving her in a car in 109-degree heat for 3 hours. And we'll get into what that means, what kind of prison time he's looking at. Really, really tragic case. And then finally, the other option for your poll is the case of Terence Crosby. This is the Irish firefighter who was here on holiday for St. Patrick's Day, and he got arrested for an assault, a sexual assault. And he's been tried once. It was a mistrial. He now went on trial again, and he testified earlier this week. And right now, the jury is deliberating on that case. So we can check in on that one. So the Louvre burglary, Christopher Scholtes, and Terence Crosby are your 3 options for the poll. We're putting that up now. In the meantime, though, and while we are waiting for my good friend Joel to join us, we're going to thank Annalie Finch, first of all, for the super sticker. Appreciate that, Annalie, for kicking us off this evening. To Farm Girl for gifting a membership. Appreciate you. I hope whoever receives that enjoys it. Same for Cody in Tennessee. Thank you so much for your generosity. I wanted to share with you something that I don't usually do. I always introduce myself and I say I am a practicing attorney, which I am. And I don't talk about many of the cases that I handle on this channel, and that is on purpose. I try to avoid that. I think my clients deserve their anonymity. And I just, too many colliding of universes. Every once in a while, though, I have a case where it's already in the news and I feel comfortable talking about it. And that is a case that broke recently. This is a case I've been working on for a long time, but recently the LA Times ran an article on it. This happened, when was it? Last week, I think it was. They ran a big front page article. It included a page inside full page long, photo of me, everything. Huge spread. LA Times went all in on this one. New York Post picked it up. Some other outlets have been getting interview calls about this. People want follow-ups. It's a really interesting story. And it's about a person by the name of David Bren. David Bren is just 33 years old. He is not my client. I'm going to make very abundantly clear. In fact, I'm not going to name any of my clients this evening. I represent people who knew David Bren. All the people that I represented are what I would call high net worth individuals, very wealthy people, but they were also operating at a very high level. I'm talking about real estate investors, businessmen, angel investors, what do you call it? Venture capitalists, people who are, really cutting edge mover and shaker type people. A lot of them younger. When I say younger, I mean in their 30s, 40s. Not all of them, but a lot of them with money to spend on interesting projects, not necessarily, going towards their bills, but they're interested in anything that might sound exciting and new. Well, enter David Bren. David Bren got introduced to most of the people that I represented through somebody else. It's this kind of velvet rope Hollywood sort of a scene, right? They would be out somewhere with their friends, a good, trusted associate of theirs would introduce them to this. Hey, I want you to meet David Bren. And they would be introduced to him as the son of Donald Bren. If the name Donald Bren doesn't mean anything to you, that's fine. But in the real estate world, especially here in Southern California, but even across the United States, Donald Bren is a very big name. Now, he's not a man who gets a lot of media attention. He avoids media attention, in fact. But if you look up Donald Bren, you will find that he is, according to Wikipedia, the wealthiest real estate investor in the United States. He is worth billions of dollars, and he started a company called the Irvine Company. If you know the city of Irvine here in Southern California, in Orange County, he essentially built the city of Irvine. Very, very wealthy and successful man. He, and I don't know the full logistics of how all of this works, but he apparently at one point fathered a young man. I believe it was outside of wedlock. Again, I am not sure. I don't want to get sued for any of this. I realize I'm dealing with a lot of litigious people. Donald and his son's name was David. David and his mother ended up suing Don to try to receive inheritance, and they lost. And there was a huge court battle, and he is now the illegitimate, disinherited son of Donald Bren. In fact, his last name is not even really Bren. He goes by David Bren because everybody knows who Donald Bren is. So picture this. You're a wealthy person. You're a mover and shaker. You've got a lot of spare cash. You want to do something exciting. You're introduced by a good friend of yours to this young man named David Bren, who is introduced to you as the son of Donald Bren. Immediately, you're thinking, oh, this could be interesting. And you're probably not doing all your due diligence that you should be doing. What he introduces to these people is the concept of a exclusive club called the Bunker. People who've got money can't stand being around people who don't have money. So they're constantly looking for VIP access. It's these exclusive clubs, Soho House and the likes like that. He's going to start, David, his sales pitch is he's going to start this thing called the Bunker, which will be the most exclusive of exclusive clubs. And it will include access to high-end supercars, delivering a supercar lifestyle. What I'm showing you here is a couple of frames from a pitch deck that he would hand out to people. And it was going to have a brick and mortar club where they would have access. Then they would have access to all these vehicles. They could go to F1 races around the country, all this exclusive VIP, super cool stuff. And they started forking over the money. And I'm not talking tens of dollars. I'm not talking hundreds of dollars. I'm not talking tens of thousands. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. to this man, David Bren, because the pitch became, hey, you don't want to just become a member. You want to become a founder of this club that's going to knock all the other clubs out of the water. So they would fork over hundreds of thousands. Of the clients that I represented, I would guess that this fraud, and I'm kind of giving you a spoiler alert there, was in the millions of dollars. Because after they contacted me, we quickly found out that the bunker not only didn't exist, there were no plans of it existing. Not only did he not have real estate, he didn't have a lease, he didn't have an architect, he had nothing going on. He had an idea that he was going around collecting hundreds of thousands of dollars for people, handing out phony promissory notes and never delivering on it. So I was contacted by a very wealthy individual who said, I want to get my money back. And at first I thought, well, this sounds like a civil case. I can help you. I can write a strongly worded letter. And I did. And I communicated with David Bren. We went back and forth on emails. And it was one excuse after the next. Oh, the check's in the mail. Oh, my dog ate the check. Oh, I sent you a wire. Here's the wire information. The wire was wrong. Oh, I tried to go to the bank, but I got COVID. This guy got COVID more than any person I ever knew. Excuse after excuse after excuse, delay, con. Finally, I'm able to get him, after a lot of pursuing and harassing and threatening, to pay my client back the money that he owed him. After that happened, word got around and everybody thought, oh, call up Ritter. He can get your money back from Bren. And I started to get dozens of phone calls. And eventually, David disappears on me. The source of income dries up. And I start telling these people, listen, I'm a lawyer. I'm not a bill collector. This is not what I do. I'm not going to start making, phone calls every single day asking him where the money is. And the interesting thing about all of this is I turned to these people. Like I said, maybe at one point I had as many as a dozen clients. And I said, what I can do for you, though, is help you go to law enforcement. I can help you go to the FBI. I can help you go to the DA's office and shepherd you through that entire process. And we can get charges against him. And that's the best way we have of getting your money back. Or if you're not interested in that, then let's file a lawsuit. Let's go ahead and take him to court. To a person, none of them were interested in that because they were more afraid of their reputation and their name getting out there as being attached to somebody who had taken them for hundreds of thousands of dollars than they were of losing the money. So I literally saw people walk away from hundreds of thousands of dollars to avoid the embarrassment of being taken by this man right here. Well, after a long period of time, years I'm talking about, I finally get somebody at the LA Times who's interested in writing the story, a man by the name of James Quealy. He's an investigative reporter. He did a remarkable job. He published a long article on it. We'll send you a link to that Times article in the notes or somewhere in the comments so that you guys can read it. It's a fascinating story. And it's continuing to develop. And I, like I said, I still get phone calls. There's other articles going to be coming out, follow-ups. And I think this is just the beginning of this case. So that was my little peek behind the curtain of what Ritter does to keep the lights on at his house when he's not busy being a talking head idiot on YouTube. There's the article. Thank you so much, T-Sues. All right. Enough of that. Let's get to the main event this evening. Let me introduce to you my good friend and a Yankees fan, Joel Waldman. Hey, buddy, how are you? Oh, wait, I will say, coming up on Friday is the first game of what's called the World Series. You and I had a conversation. It was a year ago. Yeah. A little gentleman's wager on what would happen when the Dodgers played the Yankees, and I'm still yet to collect on that.
I do have, I don't have an official jersey, but I do have a Shohei Ohtani jersey out of respect to the greatest player ever with his name in Japanese on the back. And if I had remembered, I would have worn it tonight. I just got off of my podcast and we just had predictions. Nima Rahmani, who is a Los Angelino, he is predicting a 4-game sweep. I think Toronto's a little bit better than people are giving them credit. I think they're going to give them a little bit of a fight, but this Dodgers team is ridiculous. These are your glory years right here.
Yeah.
You thought that Kirk Gibson home run was it? These are the glory years, Josh.
Yeah. No, I'm soaking it up. Believe me, I realize the hate that comes from a lot of other people about the Dodgers. I feel like if I were not a Dodgers fan, I probably feel the same. But being a Dodgers fan, I just do not care. I put on the hat and I walk around and I do not care. It's very, very good time to be a Dodger fan. And I'm not speaking big. I don't want to jinx anything. I think they've got a handful with the Blue Jays coming up on Friday. But it's gonna be a good series. But it's a very, very fun team to watch. If you watch that game, I'm sure you watched that game with Shohei. Maybe one of the most incredible athletic feats, not just in baseball, but maybe in sports. The more you think about it, I mean, it's like that will never happen again. And if it does, it'll be him.
That guy is definitely better than Babe Ruth, even though I wasn't around to watch Babe Ruth, but he is the greatest baseball player for sure ever. And probably, a top 3 athlete of all time. And I saw him here in Miami. I specifically took my son and daughters to go see him. And that guy is a specimen in person, just a big dude. Ritter, I hate to complain, but can I just air a grievance here? So
please.
I often say, I actually say it so much. Hold on, I got to get this for you. I say it so much on the show that someone actually sent me this, that we're like a Fisher Price set 3 years in. Well, my boom mic fell apart like 3 weeks ago. So I literally have it balancing on an eyeglass case. And then my iPad remote or Bluetooth keyboard is no longer Bluetoothing. So I have to, instead of typing on the iPad itself, I have to type on a keyboard is what I'm trying to say. And I have to do it while snaking my arm under the boom mic, which is now broken. So I just did a show for an hour and a half like this. And my right shoulder, I need the rotator cuff surgery, not Shohei Ohtani. And I love her to death. I've asked the COE because I don't know what to order because I'm also a tech idiot. I don't know what to order for the mic. Space Coast, if you're listening, I just need a boom mic and a keyboard for my iPad, Josh.
The good thing though is that now that you're on this show, you can just sit back and relax. You don't have to type anything. You don't have to look anything up. You don't have to coordinate anything. You just have to sit there, look pretty, and answer some questions.
You have no idea how good it feels. I'm resting my arm now. I'm gonna go ice my. How did you hurt your shoulder podcasting? First it was my neck. And now it's my shoulder, and I'm just breaking down. But I'm here and I'm good to go.
And I don't think you've got workers' comp insurance for what you do.
I have nothing.
I wanted to. Oh, first of all, let me thank Dr. Vonda K so much for the super chat. Says hi to both channels. Love the professionalism of both communities. That's high praise. We'll take it.
Ritter, I'm going to tell you one quick. I'm sorry. It's so obnoxious of me, but I'm just thinking of something funny. So I can't reveal any names, but in Miami, there's quite a bit of wealth, and my kid's on a T-ball team, and I can't reveal too much, but I noticed security guards at a T-ball game on a Sunday morning. We're talking 6-year-old kids. So I'm like, what is happening here? But this is Miami, right? So then I come to find out this guy is, first of all, he is not 40 years old yet, but he's one of the richest people in America, having sold a very large tech company that almost, I think all of you would have heard of. And I tell you, I just can't reveal names. But the person who tried to console me after that said to me, what'd they say? They said he is rich, but he's not wealthy like you. I said, what do you mean? He said, he has money, but he doesn't have your wife and your kids. To which I said, you're absolutely right.
That's very
very absolutely
sweet.
Yeah. And then we're looking up World Series tickets, and it occurred to me that he could literally scalp every World Series. Like he could go to StubHub and buy every seat in the stadium, and he could just sit there alone, and it really wouldn't impact anything in his life. And then I thought that's why I don't have the multi-billion dollars, because that's what I would do. I would literally buy every ticket. You know the Marlins guy that sits behind home plate for every game? I would buy the whole state.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a guy who wears a Marlins jersey. You'll see him in the World Series. I would be that guy, but I would buy out every seat in the stadium. I'd be the only guy at the World Series. That's the kind of money this dude has. But
well, ask your buddy if he wants to invest in an exclusive club called the Bunker, because if he's interested, I've got a contact for him that's looking for new investors.
I'm not on his scale of talking to, so I just sit in the background. But go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, I wanted to thank Jude Evans for gifting the membership. Thank you so much, Jude. Kathy for gifting memberships. Appreciate you, Kathy, and your generosity. Julia DeNurse. Hey, Josh, my Toronto Blue Jays are going to boy. This one came in spicy. Are going to wipe the field with your Dodgers. Want to put some skin in the game. All right. Oh,
I smell another jersey.
I know there might be another jersey trade going on here. Julia DeNurse. I like that. I like it. I'll take it. Let's check in next week. I wanted to talk to you about Donna Adelson, and we were trying to come up with a clever podcast title for this evening. And like with everything in life, we're all turning towards AI to give us, we're going to be replaced with AI.
Yes.
Before the year is up. But I asked ChatGPT to give me some titles, and I none of them felt appropriate to put up this evening, but I wanted to read you some because I thought they were remarkable. The Matriarch's Orange Jumpsuit, From Botox to Blocks, the Donna Adelson story, Jewelry, Justice, and Jail Time, Crime Runs in the Family, Boca to Big House, and then my favorite that we actually had a conversation about whether or not to put it up was Hot Flashes, Cold Bars.
Gotta love AI, man. It really is scary. I don't know what I'm looking at anymore. Like I see these videos, I'm like, wow, that's hilarious. And I realize it's an AI video. So
yeah. Oh, they'll replace what we do, I'm sure, soon enough. And with the visual of a person talking, it's gonna happen and it'll be better. But in the meantime, here we are. What is happening with Donna Adelson? I know you've been following it. I know is she now in her permanent housing in Florida State Prison?
So it's interesting you asked. We just did a set of shows and we're releasing one tomorrow. We've been talking to former inmates and corrections officers, and people, believe it or not, there are scholars who study long-term, and believe it or not, we found a scholar. She literally studies the long-term effects of incarceration on women. That's her whole focus. So she had a lot of interesting things to say. Basically, Donna is entering what is otherwise known as hell on earth. Yeah. She's at the Women's Reception Center now, which is a reception center. So she's going through all these diagnostic tests. Now, her defense asked that she be close to home, which is Miami, where her husband lives. Now, there's only one other. There is the most notorious prison in Florida, which is Lowell Women's Correctional Institution. That is where like Eileen Wuornos, who the movie Monster was based on. Yeah. That's where she was. And the corrections officer we had on last night, we haven't released that episode. He actually on camera tells us about conversations that he had with Eileen Wuornos. He said she was one of the scariest people he has ever met, man, woman, or otherwise. But so she's going through all these diagnostic tests, and she's either going to go to Lowell Correctional, which is literally across the street, literally could throw a tennis ball and hit one building to another, but they would still have to bus her over. Now, another possibility is she just remains. They have a section at the reception area where she could just live out the rest of her days. And then there's this place in Homestead. But her defense also asked that she not be next to the quote-unquote middle woman convicted in this case, Katie Magbanawa, And Katie McBanawa, who helped arrange this, there you go. She is serving a life sentence in Lowell. So they don't want them together because Katie has beef with Donna for basically putting her in prison. But Donna is the stories that these people told about what to expect in prison. I mean, for starters, there is no air conditioning in over, I think, 75% of this prison. And they say it gets to like 120 degrees. And then there are things you just don't think about, like she, when you're 75 or 70, she's going to be 76 soon. How do you get onto a top bunk? So there's all these issues that are both minor and major, but she's never going to see the light of day. And, you have to pay for you have to do the time for the crime, but it's going to be a brutal life, what's left of it for her.
Jay, good to see you. Jay says, whatever it is, I just hope the corrections officers follow the inmate handbook. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be concerned. I will say, I don't know. I mean, you've had experts on. The only thing I can say is that anecdotally, I have been told that if you have the perception that somehow women's prisons are less violent than men's prisons, that people can tell you that you can disabuse yourself of that idea right away, that they can get incredibly violent inside of women's prisons as well. That it's like every kind of horrible thing that you hear about taking place in men's prisons with drug trafficking and gangs and people being hustled up, maybe not to as great an extent, but it all exists in women's prisons. And she's going to have to navigate that for the rest of her life now.
Yeah. So this guy who I'm going to release, I think the COE will put it out, the episode tomorrow. He's been a warden, but he was also a corrections officer at Lowell for 22 years. And he's a very interesting guy. He's kind of studied the system and he takes it very seriously. And one of the things that he has found, and I think he's not a scholar per se, but is that men miss the freedom, he said, and women miss family. He just talked about the dynamics. But with that said, we had a female corrections officer on from there, and I had to ask her, I was like, what's the worst thing you've ever seen? And she said, someone giving another inmate a Joker smile, which is when they use a blade and slash their face on both sides. She had to witness that. She only worked at Lowell. She was a corrections officer for 20 years. She worked at Lowell for 2 years and had to retire, and suffers from extreme post-traumatic stress disorder from the things that she saw there in just a 2-year period. So it is, it's not a friendly place. It's got a lot of cold-blooded killers, to your point. And Donna Adelson is, she's going to have to make the right friends and make them very quickly, or she's in potential danger there as well.
And she's going to have a big old target on her back too, because they don't take kindly to people who gained a lot of celebrity going in. That just makes you a natural target. And they know she's got money. And they're going to, she's already complained about being the victim of extortion in the past. Well, just wait. I mean, when she's got to survive essentially in prison, it's all going to come about, she's not going to, in other words, she's not going to soldier up with some gang and start going out and shanking people to earn their respect. The only way she's going to gain any kind of protection from anyone is by paying people off. And it's going to be a constant extortion process for her, just putting money on people's books and getting extra, the smallest little favors they can get from the commissary are a big deal. And she'll just have to eke out an existence with that.
Yeah. I mean, about the only thing going for her and now there might be a conflict with her going to Lowell, which again would be a good thing for her because it's notorious. But one of the things that Lowell does have is a special wing or a block, as they say in prison, for elderly inmates. And someone sent me, they sent me the 3 oldest inmates, female inmates in the state of Florida. And I believe one is 90, one is 87, and one is 85. They've all been serving since before 1975. They've all
Wow.
been in that prison. And this corrections officer who will promo the show or premiere the show tomorrow, he knew all of them from being there for 22 years. And he was telling me some, funny story. I mean, one is literally 90 years old, and he said she's pretty much a sweet old woman. But the other one is an absolute germaphobe and doesn't go anywhere without sanitizer and is just obsessively sanitizing everything all day since 1972. Got to be tiring.
Um, it's funny because you think of her. How old is she? She's 75, right? Now?
75, turning 76 in, I believe, February.
So you think of her at that age, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, how much longer does she actually have? First of all, if she were outside of prison, I think we'd be having that conversation. She appears to be healthy, other than her complaints about her diet and ear canals. But in prison, you can obviously guess that might take some years off of her life, just dealing with the stress and everything else. But I will say, again, this is just anecdotal evidence. I was a part of the case that convicted Phil Spector. When Phil Spector went to prison, he was in his 70s as well, and he was in very poor health. And everybody thought the guy wasn't going to live, for a year or two. He ended up, it was 10 something years or something. I mean, it was incredible. And you would see pictures of him. He would come to court with his enormous wigs. And then when you see his mug shots, he's completely bald with just this kind of Mr. Burns phrase of hair on his head. But he lasted forever in there. And that was not an easy place, prison, men's prison here in California. And he just kept on, probably to his own regret, kept on waking up every single morning. And so 15 to 20 years for Grandma Gotti in the house, says Teresa Robinson, could be right. I mean, she could live a very long life in there.
She's a strong woman, and by the way, 75 today is not what 75 used to be. I mean, you're dead at 75, but with medicine, and she's a strong woman. Someone said she wasn't going to make it through the trial. I was like, there's no, she's definitely making it through the trial. Now, she said she put on a third of her body weight in jail because everything is just so carb heavy, and she's used to, high protein salad type diets. But aside from that, I think she's in pretty good shape. And one of the interesting things in the victim impact statement, Phil Markel, there's a kind of a phrase in the Jewish religion, may you live to 120. And he said, may Donna live to 120. The implication being that she will have a lot of time to think about what she did in prison. But look, I would not be surprised if she lived 10 or 15 or 20 more years. You just don't know.
Yeah. Not to mention the medical care that they have in prisons now is better than it ever has been, so they're going to keep her healthy, to her, like I said, probably to her regret, but they'll keep her healthy for a long, miserable amount of time. Before we let this one go, I can't not close out a conversation about Donna Adelson without asking what everybody always asks. Any rumblings on Wendy? Anything that you're hearing? You've got your ear to the ground more than most about this case. Anything you're hearing about her?
Well, I can tell you that there was talk about whether she had moved to Colorado. So she was in Florida, moved to Texas, and then there was talk she had relocated again to Colorado. That apparently is not the case. Apparently she is in the Austin, Texas area. Now, there are two different counties from what I understand. So she's not in she's not in Travis County from what I understand, but whatever the adjacent county is to Travis is, that is still part of Austin. That is where she is living. I got to tell you, I guess I would be not sharing the complete truth if I didn't say that in recent days and maybe weeks, it feels less like something is happening than it did a few weeks ago. But that's not to say that stuff won't happen or can't happen. It's just kind of the rumblings that I am, hearing and getting a sense of. But look, these are really, I mean, Josh, you know this better than anyone else. These are long, expensive prosecutions. I mean, part of the restitution that Donna Adelson now has to pay is like $754,000. The prosecutors are tired. They've been working these cases basically one after the other for 14 years. So I would like to think that if there's the evidence to indict her, and I think that there is right now, that they're going to prosecute her. And the Markells themselves have been vocal in saying that they have not mentioned Wendy by name, but they say that there's more justice to be had. And the implication is it's Wendy and possibly Harvey. So time's going to tell. I think it's going to happen, if it does happen, when no one expects it, which is usually the way it does happen. But right now, it's kind of I wouldn't say disappointing, but it's a quiet period.
Yeah. I would I will say that after seeing how the prosecution has conducted themselves with their systematic prosecution of each player in turn, I'm almost at the point where, with as much as that we've heard about Wendy, I would be shocked if they don't indict her. If you had asked me a few years ago how I'd feel about it, I'd say, well, listen, sometimes in cases you indict the people that you can prove, and others who you might feel you have a high suspicion they were involved, but you don't indict them. And, a traditional way of prosecuting this case would have been to indict everybody all at once, from, Garcia to Rivera to Magbanwa, Adelson, and just all at once. Maybe you do separate trials, but everybody would be sitting in prison pending their trials. Not in this case. And so that just led me to believe that, oh, okay, after everything we've seen, she's going to be next. And she very well could be. I'm going to be shocked if we're still having this conversation a year from now.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to happen. You've got a picture of the prosecutor of the year, Georgia Kaplan, up there. I've said it before. Her father was a star quarterback at FSU. He was an NFL quarterback. She comes from, a pedigree that is very competitive. She does not like Wendy Adelson. She's going to go after her. We by the way, we have her coming on the show in a couple of weeks. So
nice.
We'll get the scoop from her firsthand. She's obviously not going to reveal that. But one other thing I just want to say is, I had mentioned this on my show a lot, which is I would see Harvey Adelson there. And I've got to give my mom, who co-hosts the show with me, credit. From day one, my mother said that this guy is complicit in these crimes. And then when I got to the trial, he's always been kind of this wallflower. But when I got to the trial, this guy was giving such frightening looks to me and other people. It was bordering on disturbing. And then we had a guest on named Tamara Demko, who was very good friends with Dan. And you got to just watch the episode to get the sense. But basically, was freaked out by Harvey so much that this is the night Dan actually dies. So Dan is shot on July 18th, 2014. He dies the next day. She goes over to Wendy's house. Wendy, instead of just asking for comfort, apologizes to Tamara for his death, which is very odd. And then Harvey approached her in a very odd way. It was so scary to her that on the show, she talks about the next day she went to church to pray, bought a gun, and very shortly thereafter left Tallahassee. Because you got to understand, back then, no one thought it was the Adelsons, but in her heart, she knew that they were behind it. And that, fast forward to me, just going to the local lunch spot in Tallahassee, he would give you these looks like he was going to do something to you. Wow. And then at the sentencing, Donna's sentencing, he just was very angry in his sentencing and called the Markells. I mean, of all people, called the victims liars. It was you could see this anger breaking through, and it was scary. It was scary in person. I think he's a dangerous guy.
Yeah, that was a shocking reveal on his part. That was kind of you saw the mask come off for a second when he called the Markells liars. Of all the people that he was going to attack, that's where he started out with them and them being liars. And it was an appalling display on his report. But you were right. He was hot under the collar. He was upset. He was angry. He looks angry right there. So it made me think maybe he knew more than we've all have given him credit for. I've got one question here. Most of the questions that people have asked, we've kind of covered, but this one we haven't. Jenny G says, do you know if she has changed her name? Is there any talk about that she's under some sort of assumed identity in the meantime?
Yeah. So in general, I kind of steer away from this just out of respect to the Markel family because of the kids. But there is talk that she's using her middle name. No confirmation, but there's talk that she's using her middle name, which is Jill, and her boyfriend. There's also rumors that she got married, but no one can find any public records. If anyone has them, please send them to either Josh or me, survivingsurvivor@gmail.com. But she is apparently, you see there, Robin says it, going by Jill. I don't think it's Jillian, but Jill Estrada. Maybe she uses Jillian also, but from what I've heard, it's Jill Estrada. Two people are saying Jillian, so maybe Jillian. And the boys are using that last name, and people have, I don't know, surmised or thought that she was married or getting married as sort of an FU, continuing FU to the Markels. So he could have custody of the children if something is to happen to her. So that part of it gets more and more curious. It's obvious the boys are, in the crosshairs of all of this, but these are not good people. These are not good people. So none of this would surprise me.
No. Well, we'll stay tuned. I'm sure if it happens, you'll be the first one to do a show about it, and I hope you'll have me on to give my reaction, which will just be kind of fireworks, because I can't say enough good things about this prosecution team, and I'm just, you talked about 14 years. That's a career. They've had a career doing one prosecution, essentially, for the murder of one man. 14 years of a prosecutor's life has been dedicated to that, and I applaud every moment of it. So can you stick around? We're going to do our poll results. Can you talk to us, give some reactions on some of these things real quick?
I'm a night owl, man. I'm here.
I love it.
I'm here all day, whatever you need.
All right, so the poll was, we're either going to talk about the Louvre burglary. The Christopher Scholtes just took a plea today. This is the guy that left his.
It's got to be Louvre all the way. It's got to be the Louvre.
And Terrence Crosby testified. So who won this? Oh, here we go. Kaylin says 43%. You were right. The burglary of the Louvre. Just to catch everybody up on this really quick, and then I want to hear your reaction because I'm sure it's going to make me laugh. NJ Kathy, thank you so much for the super sticker. October 19th. Paris, France, 4 individuals that they know of take a truck-mounted moving lift, and this is described as what you would use to get furniture into an upstairs window if you're moving, heavy objects. They park it outside of the Louvre. 4 individuals go up, break through a window. This is what the part that, of all of this, that it's incredible, but the part that really blows me away is that all it took to get inside was breaking a window. You would have thought that it would be something beyond that, but they get this thing pulled up to the side, park a truck, go up the truck. Nobody's calling, nobody's alarmed by any of this. Break in. They're only inside for 4 minutes. So this is where everybody's talking about them being pros, moving quickly. They steal a total of 8 objects. It sounds like they knew what they were going for exactly. It was a bunch of different jewels from tied to the Napoleonic era. An estimated value of $102 million in jewels. And I don't know if that price is attached to like what, the historical value, or if it's just like gems and gold and everything attached. But then the new thing I learned today is none of this is insured. that this stuff doesn't get insured. That there's no insurance company that's going to insure $100 million worth of jewelry. So essentially, the country of France is the insurer for this jewelry. There's an overhead of where this took place. So the Louvre is this sprawling, museum. and they go to the riverside, the same side of it, and no one just notices that as that's happening, and then they get away. They escape on what's the media keeps on describing them as motorbikes. I'm like, what is the difference between a motorbike and a motorcycle? But that's how the media keeps on describing it. What do you think? You think these things are up on eBay right now?
I'm gonna go with an answer that's gonna get me a ton of hate mail. Absolutely genius, and unbelievable that they could get away with that. I mean, I don't know if there's a French show on Netflix. I think it's Lupin, Lupin. I think that's what.
Oh yeah,
and I think he breaks in. It's a fantastic show, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine this? By the way, I was at, for my book that I wrote about my mom, we went to Serbia, and on the way we did a little pit stop in France. I was at the Louvre 2 summers ago, and if I'd known it was that easy, I would have just rented that truck, or I would have just thrown my kids up on that balcony. And what's unbelievable, and I don't even know if this is confirmed, for some reason, like these stories, like just obviously grab your attention, but I never read on stories like this. I always just read the headlines. But one of the headlines that I saw was that they apparently dropped one of the crowns in literally the gutter.
Yes, the imperial crown of Empress Eugene was found outside. It had 1,300 diamonds on it, and some person just found it on the sidewalk.
First of all, this is so Parisian. I think motorbikes are, like little like Vespa type things. So they just scoot away. I mean, it's incredible. And now, I mean, there's going to be a movie made about this, because now I've also read that they've hired apparently like an Israeli intelligence firm. These are like Mossad guys who are going in now to try to figure this out. But how do you solve this? Like, you showed a picture of those guys. They're covered head to toe. I mean, what I love is that no one even batted an eye. I mean, people are basically just living inside. The whole world's addicted to cell phones, man. You can rob anything now. Everyone's just glued to their cell phones.
Well, I was thinking it's got to be that psychology of when something's happening, you never assume the worst. Right. Like if the truck pulls up and you see 4 guys going, oh, they're doing some repairs, or they're nobody's like thinking, wait a minute, should I call someone? And probably even by the time they're running out, jumping on bikes, everybody's just thinking, well, I don't know what that's all about, but I'm late for work.
You're like, why are the window cleaners smashing the windows? Right. You're like, but it's still not computing in your head. Like, it's mind blowing. But think about this. There's like however many dudes or women, who knows who these people are, that were in a room planning this out, and they pulled it off perfectly. But my question, Ritter, is what do you do with that now? You got to sell that.
This is the funny part, is that all these experts are saying they're going to find these guys. Like there's just no way to plan something like this without somebody talking or leaving. They've already left behind some evidence. They left behind that crown, but they also apparently like a vest was recovered and some other items that they dropped along the way. So it wasn't like a perfect heist. They're fairly confident they're going to be able to track these people down. But they say if they don't get those jewels in the next few days, they're gone. So my point is that too. Okay, who buys this? Because you can never wear it. Yeah. I suppose you could display it in the deep, dark recesses of your home, but like you can't. This isn't like a piece of I always think that too when they steal famous pieces of art. Where are you going to put that? You can't put that up in your home. Everybody knows that's a stolen piece of art. So I don't know if they planning on just melting it down and taking the jewels and repurposing it and making some money that way. But then why do you need to break into the Louvre to do that? There's plenty of jewelry stores around.
Someone's asking why I'm laughing. I knew the hate would come in. I find it sort of amusing in a, twisted, depraved way. I mean, this is a burglary. I have no idea, Ritter. I mean, how do you you've got to be connected, right? Like you've got to, you're not going to do this without a plan ahead of time, but you've got to know someone in the underworld that is going to buy this from you. But it's so weird that this world actually exists. Like the stuff that you see in movies, like there's some lord, like some drug lord or some oligarch somewhere that's going to buy this from you.
Right. I 100% believe that. I don't think that they thought, let's steal this and then find a buyer. I'm sure it was, we have a buyer. Are we willing to go out and do this for whatever amount of money this person's willing to pay? Like, whoever paid them to do this, I'm sure is already in possession of those jewels and happily on their way to some, private island somewhere to display these things. Again, if it were just, I hear people in the comments saying, well, they're just going to remove the diamonds. And I understand there's huge diamonds and jewels and everything else, but you can also steal that kind of stuff from a jewelry store. And it seems like it would be a lot easier to fence, as they say, than it would be for these types of items.
I mean, what's amazing too, if I heard you right, that there was no alarm went off. Like, what are they doing in the Louvre? I mean, you can't get they've got the Mona Lisa boxed up. Like, you can't get to, you have to wait in line for 800 hours just to see the Mona Lisa, which in person is like not the most impressive, in my opinion, tiny little thing. But how do they not have alarms going off or a direct line to the police or cameras? Maybe they do. We just don't know. I mean,
well, they're going to have all sorts of, their version of congressional hearings about this, because everybody's asking that same question. And then I've heard that they they've already started to analyze the security outfit at the Louvre, and there's like rooms where they have like only 25% of the room under surveillance, and like it is not the Fort Knox that you think of it as.
Yeah, like Jared's Gallery of Jewelry has better alarms than the
Yeah, it's awful. I mean, it's awful. I think it's horrible. I mean, thank God we're not talking about anybody getting killed here, but it's amazing to me. The brazenness of it is incredible. The planning of it is incredible. Where it happened is incredible. But my most curious thing out of all of this is, what do you do with this now?
Yeah.
People are like, oh, the Mona Lisa's right there. Well, who steals the Mona Lisa? Where are you going to put the Mona Lisa once you have it? Everybody knows that painting.
It's crazy. We did a story. I can't even remember. There was a Boston museum that there was a big art heist, and there's a guy in Boston named Anthony Amore, Amore. And this is always amazing to me. Like I told you, there's a woman who studies incarceration of women, older women, like that's her whole life. Well, this guy just studies art heists, and his name is Anthony Amore. And I heard him on the radio, and he was totally unmoved by this story. His response was, oh yeah, smash and grabs are incredibly common at museums. It happens all the time. Like, he didn't even bat an eye. And it was weird to me, because this is literally the Louvre. It's like the most famous museum in the world. This is Napoleon's family's jewels. And he was like, oh yeah, it just happens. Like, how is that? Oh yeah, the Gardner Museum is the heist in Boston.
Yeah, I wonder if it is that kind of thinking that it's like, yeah, they have security, but it's almost like, who's going to actually do this, that they kind of are lax on the security. You know what I mean? You're probably right. There probably is more concern about a mall, K Jewelers, than there is about what's in the Louvre, because it's like, who's actually going to go about doing this? Well, four jerks on motorbikes, whatever that means.
I hope they catch these guys. Just I want to know who they are. That's going to be fascinating.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Can you stick around for one more? Our number 2 on the poll.
Yeah, as long as it's a story that I had never heard of.
I think they all are here.
One of them is one I'd never heard of, but that doesn't mean much.
Scholtes.
Oh, Scholtes, I do. Him, I know.
Yeah,
him, I know.
This is, I'm glad this one came up, because it actually had a real development today. So this is the horrible, horrible, horrible case out of Arizona back in July of 2024. This guy here, Christopher Scholtes, leaves his 2-year-old daughter, Parker, in the car. His claim is that he left her in the car with the air conditioning running because she was asleep, and he went inside. Then he loses track of time. Well, That car, like many modern cars, has a 30-minute timer that it automatically shuts off if there's no activity. The car shuts off. He's inside the house for 3 hours, according to police. And the girl ends up dying. And it's just a tragedy beyond tragedy. His wife, Erica, is supportive of him. I mean, obviously, broken to pieces about their loss, but she also didn't want to see her husband convicted for this. But she is one of the first people to send a text message to him saying, I told you can't do this. The most recent ruling, and that might be the reason for the development today, is that the judge said that he was going to allow testimony from the other kids to testify about times he had done this before. And the other kids had apparently complained about him doing that with them, leaving them in the car to run inside, leaving them napping in the car to run inside. And he was aware of that 30-minute thing, and he just lost track of time, and his beautiful baby girl died. But today, he accepted a plea deal. They were charging him with first-degree murder, which I think was stretching, but he ended up pleading to 1 count of second-degree murder and 1 count of intentional knowing child abuse. And this is according to the Pima County District Attorney's Office did a press release. They said that he agreed to consecutive time as part of the plea deal. So he's looking at 20 to 30 years flat time, which means actual time is what we would call it. So he is going to do, if the judge sentences him to the minimum of 20, he's going to do a full 20, no good time, work time. He will not be eligible for early release. He's going away for 20 years. It just tragic any way you look at it.
I hate to say what I'm about to say, but there's a death penalty for a reason. This is, to me, is inexcusable. I mean, accidents happen, but I don't think this was an accident. This is a family that comes from decent means. I mean, the mother is a medical doctor, from what I understand. So it's not, they're not, uneducated people who have some excuse or indigent or something. I mean, this guy was also reportedly, he'd done it before, and now he's playing video games and watching porn.
Yeah.
To me, it's inexcusable. This guy should get way more than 20 years. The only, I guess, reason that maybe that didn't happen is, number one, obviously the plea deal, but they have other kids apparently. I have to tell you, this is in the Tucson, Arizona area. I think it's just blanked on the suburb, but I worked in Tucson, and when you showed that picture of the house, it just took me back to my local reporting days. And I tell this story, like in Tucson, when I first got there, I used to wear, every day was in a suit, and then I'd have these like leather shoes on, and it literally felt like your feet were on fire, to the point, like it was from the sun. But in the summer months, even in the winter months, but in the summer months, it's 110 degrees out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a literal oven, and there's no excuse. If something, I don't know, if it was a one-time thing and he fell asleep and there was, I don't know if there was some, but to be inside playing video games and watching porn, no.
There could be the argument that he could at least have the argument, if this was the first time, I left the car running with the AC on. I had no idea it would turn off. I thought she was safe in a cool car, taking a nap, and I came inside, and maybe I lost track of time, but I had no idea she was ever in danger. But when you've done it before and your wife has said to you, even according to her own text messages, I told you not to, and you know that the car turns off after 30 minutes, it's like you're right. You start adding all of this up, and it begins to turn from horrific, awful, neglectful behavior into, well, you just don't care. Like this is what starts to become criminal about it. It's no longer negligence. It's now gross indifference to the safety of your own child.
I mean, forget all that for a minute. I have 3 kids. You have children, Ritter. If I did that, I could not exist with myself.
No.
Forget the criminal justice system. I would probably handle things personally. But I could never. I mean, if I hit a squirrel, I'm incapacitated. I could not live with myself. I mean, I just couldn't do it.
Maybe that's why he accepted a plea. It could be. It could be. I mean, this is not a good deal in my view. I mean, he's getting 20 years, like no good time work. This is not, I'm looking at this from a defense attorney's perspective. This is not a deal that's like, oh, you got to take this. This could have been somebody saying, you know what, I'm done fighting. I'm not going to put my family through this. I'm not going to put, I basically want to end myself anyways. I don't know. But
I mean, it might be done for him in prison. I mean, what do you think, Ritter? I mean, this is a kind of crime that fellow inmates are not going to be happy to hear about. He's going to be in danger. He's going to have a target, I think.
People who take the lives of kids, people who take advantage of women, children, they have very, very miserable lives. Yes, You're right. He's even if it's 20 years, he's going to have a miserable 20 years in there.
So I have real quick. I have a Ford Bronco, and it's like the only manly thing I have in my life. And I take my kids to T-ball or soccer practice, and if anyone sits in the back seat, once you get at even if they get out of the back seat, like I'll drop my kids off at home and then I can do errands, right? But when I get out of my seat in the front, an alarm goes off telling me check your back seat.
Mine too.
Every car's got to have that. Why don't we have that? That would save lives. I mean, it should be incumbent and mandatory for all automakers to have that alarm, because that would maybe it wouldn't have saved this kid. I don't know. Maybe this guy just did not care to that point. And if that's the case, it's what I started with, the death penalty. But there you go.
Well, and to your point too, I mean, we don't get near the temperatures here where I live that they get in Arizona. But even on a hot day, when the sun is beating down, it turns that car into an oven. I mean, it's not even so much the ambient temperature, it's the sun beating down on it. And you look at the picture of the house here, there's zero covering. There's not a tree to be seen. Like there's nothing that he was parked under to provide any kind of shade or protection from that sun. So that car just turned, and this is the kind of stuff that really starts to bother me. That car turned into an absolute torture chamber for that little girl.
I can't even. I mean, it's horrific. And let me tell you, that desert you're looking at there. It's funny. When I got my job in Tucson, I don't know what I was thinking other than not understanding the world, but I thought Tucson was going to be this like tiny little cowboy cobblestone street, one light kind of town. I thought it was this little place. Tucson is this vast desert. It takes like an hour and a half to drive across from one end, from the west side to the east side. It's like a 250 square mile place. But I've never been in an environment and lived there that is so unrelenting. Like you've got the heat, you've got rattlesnakes, you've got scorpion. There wasn't a night where I reported in Tucson, Josh Ritter, where I did not pull back my covers before going to bed looking for scorpions. It's obsessive and crazy. One night I'm walking Mabel Rose, my beloved puggle, no longer with me. And I'm like, what the hell is coming at us? Then I found out what javelinas are. I happen to love COEs in here. I happen to absolutely love the desert now, but it's a scary place. But javelinas are these like hairy little blind pigs that run around in packs. And if they smell a dog or you, they charge you. There was never, I know he's looking at me like I'm insane.
Wait a minute. Little pigs? Is that what you said?
Pigs. A javelina, I'll have you Google it with a J, Javelina. They are wild pigs that live in the desert, and they go in packs, and the parents are very aggressive. When you see one, you see like 8 or 9, and they will charge you 100 miles an hour. Anytime I went for a walk in Tucson, I would always pick out like a flatbed truck that I could throw Mabel into and then dive into in case javelinas attacked me. I don't want to make the story about me, Ritter, but the amount of fear that I live with in Tucson, from scorpions to these rattlesnakes to the oppressive heat. Those are javelinas. Those things look
These
cute.
These are the terrifying beasts that had you.
These will rip your face off, Josh Ritter. The things that you learn on these shows, this will rip your face off, Ritter. You'd be doing the same exact thing as let me tell you another quick story now that I'm on a roll. When I got to Tucson, someone said to me, you better take your dog for rattlesnake training. I'm like, what are you talking about? Mabel went to, wow, I love Tucson. I miss it. Mabel went to a place, and shout out to Tom McKinney. I'm going to make the story really quick. Tom McKinney had a PhD, but he loved his dog so much that he instead became a long-haul truck driver just so he could sit with his dog in the cabin of the truck. And when he finally quit that, he opened a place in Tucson called Dog Day Adventures. And he used to pick up something like 20 dogs. A COE will confirm this for me. He had a van, like a little converted van that was a school bus for dogs. And they would pick Mabel up, and she would go in a van for 3-hour walks in the washes, which are basically the dry riverbeds in Tucson. But someone told me, you got to get rattlesnake training. I'm like, what is that? So they literally, for all dogs in Tucson, you can sign up, and they go through like a 4-day training that's over a 4-week period where they introduce your dogs to fake rattlesnakes with a scent, and then ultimately real rattlesnakes, and they teach them to stay away. And dogs are much smarter than us. And once they go through this training for the rest of their lives, they know to stay far away because there are rattlesnakes all over these washes. How we got to this point, I have no idea. But it was one of the best and yet most frightening times of my life, Josh Ritter. There's many ways to die in the desert.
I'm a firm believer that God sends us messages sometimes. And I think maybe the message is that you shouldn't be living in Arizona. And if the rattlesnakes and the heat and the scorpions weren't enough, then he sends a army of tiny little mini pigs to terrorize you. Yeah. It's about time that you pack it up.
And I don't want to offend anyone in Tucson or the surrounding desert lands, but Tucson also has, you know how they say keep Portland weird? Yeah. Portland wishes it was as weird as Tucson. Tucson's one of the weirdest places on earth. Very odd people. I love it though. Very weird.
All right, my friend. What do you got? What's coming up? Oh, first of all, the COA, thank you so much for the memberships. Appreciate that. What a lovely picture there too. What do you got coming up on your channel? What's new? You said that you're going to have Kappelman on soon. When is that coming up?
Yeah, by the way, one of my best friends is Matt Brode, who's the chief meteorologist in Tucson, and he's got an irrational fear of snakes, and he's never seen a snake in Tucson, nor a scorpion. And I'm just waiting for the day that it finally happens because he will scream like an absolute maniac. What do I have going on? Not much. Not much at all. It's very quiet, Josh. You and I were talking. It's quiet time for true crime.
That just means something horrific is going to happen soon. Every time we say it's a quiet time, some horrible crime takes place.
Yeah, or Wendy will get arrested in 4 minutes, and I'll have to be
exactly. That'll be your life for the next year and a half.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to. I don't have a lot going on, but we'll figure it out together, my friend.
Do you deal with crocodiles where you're at?
Alligators.
Alligators?
That's a COE fear. Iguanas and alligators. No crocodiles. Alligators live in all parts of Florida. They frequently, not really where we are, because we're closer to like the beach area, but if you go like a mile west of me and you go into any canal, you're going to get eventually eaten by an alligator. And they're fast as hell. You're not getting away from an alligator. And then you've got iguanas. I happen to love iguanas. Some people hate iguanas, but you know, when it gets freezing here, which is very rare, they
I've heard of this. They freeze and fall off the trees.
Oh, they fall out of the trees. Here's a wild story to end on if you want. So there's a dog park near the Fort Lauderdale airport. I did stories on this when I was a reporter at CBS News. So a lot of people don't know this, but for some random reason, like 50 years ago, someone allowed a couple of primates, little monkeys, to procreate near the Fort Lauderdale airport. It's Dania Beach. And for whatever reason, they built a colony. So there's a colony of monkeys. This is true, by the Fort Lauderdale airport. And there's a dog park there. And I sent this to the COE the other day. Someone posted on Twitter, and this is where I don't know if it's AI or real, but there was a video of these monkeys jumping into the lake at this dog park where the dogs swim, to go literally to just swim. But it was like the entire colony. It was like one monkey after another after another. And I have to think it's AI. If anyone knows.
Oh, I've seen this video, and they're all jumping into the river.
They're all jumping in. Well,
yeah.
that's I think that's the dog park near Dania Beach, which is where I've taken Fred and Ethel to. So,
see, we don't have any of that here in Los Angeles. There's no animals that are going to kill you. It's just either the whole neighborhood will burn down, or the earth will open up and swallow you whole. That's the only thing that we have to worry about.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest worry in Miami is walking to a 7-Eleven and getting just sprayed by machine gun fire. That's probably a much better bet than anything else happening, which is about an equal chance of happening anywhere in LA too. So
squirrels and raccoons, says Tiffany. We got to deal with squirrels and raccoons.
Yeah. Men and women are a lot more dangerous than any of these animals. So watch out, everybody.
All right, buddy. Thank you again. It's late there. Get some sleep.
Thank you for having me. Love being on.
Talk to you soon, bud.
All right, man. Take care.
There you go. Joel, he's on the board of the Tucson Tourism Society. Joel Waldman from Surviving Survivor. All right, everybody. Let's get to some announcements. But before we do that, I'm going to give you a short word from our sponsor. I just wanted to share with you a story that happened to me at CrimeCon this year. If you're a follower of this channel, you already know, but I lost temporarily my passport. I've got it back now. Thank you very much. But while it was gone, it is such an unnerving feeling to know that your personal information could be in the hands of another person. But what brought me a little peace of mind was knowing that I had identity theft insurance through Aura, our first ever sponsor. If you've ever wondered how scammers get your information and why your inbox is full of junk, this is why. Data brokers collect and sell your information without your permission, and they make billions doing it. And that is why we are proud to partner with Aura. Aura does the hard work for you. They scrub your information from the internet, protecting it from those shady sites and making sure that your information is kept safe. But it's more than just data removal. It's also about digital security. That's why I felt such comfort even when my passport was lost. You get dark web alerts, bank fraud monitoring, a VPN, antivirus, a password manager, and up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all in one app. Try Aura today, free for 14 days at aura.com/courtroom confidential. It's free to try. It protects you, and it helps support the show. Please check it out. All right, guys, when we started this evening, did you have to adjust the settings on your monitor or television because you said to yourself, what in the world is that? Is that a brand new color? Afton says, what is Josh's color tonight, y'all? I need a place to place another order. Yes, indeedy, everybody. Go to thecourtroomconfidential.com. This is the way I've been told to explain this to you all. This is a sneak peek at our new fall colors. We're going to be having an announcement coming soon. And in fact, we're going to be having a members only live in October coming up, where we will be previewing all of this. But in the meantime, we wanted to give you a sneak peek at some of the brand new fall colors from Courtroom Confidential. Go to our website, thecourtroomconfidential.com. Click on the shop. Not now, coming soon. We will be having a bunch of new colors, including Julia Donner says Frankenberry, Southern Cali Bee, chewed bubble gum. I saw earlier something about Murder Merlot. Pro bono Bordeaux, says therapist, I like that a lot. I like this. What is it? It's probably going to be like plum, frosted sugar plum. I'm surprised. Who is it who usually gives me a hard time? And call it Plum Princess or something. All right, Tiff, what is it? Don't tell me it's something lame. It's got to be. We got to start renaming these things. While Tiff is giving us the, maybe she disappeared on me. While she's giving us the actual name of this, Princess Plum Pants, says therapist, Barry, fail. Barry. We don't name these things, by the way. This is how they come named. We need to. Brady List Bordeaux. Love that. We have to come up with our own. We're going to start doing contests on more of these colors. But in the meantime, go to thecourtroomconfidential.com, click on shop, and you can find all these colors, including some new colors coming soon at the shop. And if you want to become a member, if you've seen people receiving free memberships tonight and you think to yourself, I don't want to be left out, don't be left out. Join the Courtroom Confidential crew by clicking on Become a Member. And if you want to leave us a message for this coming Sunday Fun Day, go on there and leave us a message. We are still looking for some new messages to have them answered live, your true crime questions this coming Sunday. And you might also be interested in membership because of something that we have special coming up on Saturday. So first, let me get to what you missed on Monday. We had our true crime docket where we talked about all the things coming up this week, covered a lot of territory. Mark Sanchez, that guy's name is Dave Rubin, I think. Blake Lively's case is in court this week. So a lot of updates. That's already up on our website. But coming up Friday, we will have the weekly roundup, as always, live at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, where we will talk about everything that happened this week. So we tell you what's going to happen, then we tell you what happened. And there's going to be a lot of updates because a lot of interesting developments, including some of the things we talked about tonight, we will cover on the weekly roundup this week. And Ms. B has been a member for 13 months. She loves it. She can tell you all about it. And she says, woohoo, 13 months has gone so quick. I'm telling you guys, give it a shot. Give the membership a shot. You might just love it. And here's a good reason to do it now, because this Saturday, we are having our October members only live. That will be live at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. There's the membership tiers. If you're in the classified and above, you can join our membership only live on this Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. Kaylin will be there. Mrs. Ritter will be there. We'll be talking about new merch, and we'll be talking about a bunch of other stuff. What are you reading? What are you watching? What are you cooking? All the fun things. But mainly you get to see the girls, and that's the best part about it. Then on Sunday, Sunday Fun Day is back live, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. We're going to be answering all of your Sunday Fun Day questions. Southern Cali B says, is Sunday Fun Day back? Yes, it's back. It's back this Sunday. How do you call in with a question? Linda P. Golan asks. Oh, do I have an answer for you? You go to, everybody all at once now, thecourtroomconfidential.com and click on leave us a message, and we will answer your questions live this coming Sunday. And if you've had all of this fun and you still want more and you want to go to CrimeCon, CrimeCon is coming to Vegas May 29th through 31st of next year. If you're interested in going, we will be there. All the cool kids will be there. And if you want a discount, we're going to give you 10% off at checkout if you enter the word courtroom, all caps, all one word. Please join us at CrimeCon. We don't get, by the way, none of this money comes to us. This is just something that we asked for CrimeCon to give you guys a benefit, because we're going to be there and we would love to see as many of the Courtroom Confidential crew there as possible. Finally, let me give a very, very special thank you to our mods, Afton, Shy Gal, Kathy, and Therapist, for keeping us all in line, keeping smiles on our faces. To Kaylin for all of the things that you do, making this run so seamlessly, and to Tiffany for being the best thing that ever happened to me. Thank you guys for spending your Wednesday night with us, and we will see you all on Friday. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.